Imagine standing in front of a mirror in 2003. You're wearing heavy eyeliner, studded belts, and combat boots. You've got a guitar strapped to your back and a sound that's too rock for pop radio, but too pop for the underground. This was Fefe Dobson. She was the blueprint. She was the aesthetic before the aesthetic even had a name. But if you look at the history books of pop culture, her name is often missing, while the stars who followed in her footsteps became the biggest names on the planet. They say that in the music industry, being the first is a curse, and being the second is a career. Tonight, we're peeling back the curtain on one of the most controversial copy-paste theories in music history. Did the industry take Fefe Dobson's DNA and inject it into Rihanna, Miley Cyrus, and Selena Gomez? And is history repeating itself right now with Tyla and Ayra Starr? Grab a seat, because this isn't just about music. It's about who gets to keep the credit when a style goes global. In the early 2000s, the pop world was dominated by bubblegum. It was all blonde hair, synchronized dancing, and sugary sweet lyrics. Then came Fefe Dobson, a young black girl from Canada who didn't want to dance. She wanted to shred. She released Bye Bye Boyfriend, and suddenly, there was this edgy, punk rock energy that felt dangerous and fresh. She was the black rock girl in a world that didn't know how to market her. Her debut album was a hit, but then something strange happened. Her second album, Sunday Love, was suddenly shelved by her label. They told her it wasn't what people wanted. But if the world didn't want that edgy, rock-infused sound, then why, just a year later, did every major pop star on the planet start dressing and sounding exactly like Fefe? Enter Rihanna. Before 2007, Rihanna was the Ponder Replay girl. Very tropical, very soft, very island pop. But then came the good girl gone bad era. Suddenly, Rihanna had the short, choppy black hair, the leather, the studs, and the rock-heavy tracks like Shut Up and Drive. Fans noticed the shift immediately. It wasn't just a makeover, it was a total brand overhaul that looked remarkably similar to the artists the industry had just pushed aside. The irony? Fefe Dobson actually ended up co-writing Rockstar 101 for Rihanna years later. It's like the industry took the architect's house, gave it to someone else, and then hired the architect to design the guest room. But the Fefe effect didn't stop with Rihanna. If you look at Miley Cyrus during her Can't Be Tamed era or Selena Gomez during her Kiss and Tell days, the parallels are staggering. The heavy eyeliner, the pop-punk angst, the rebellious girl with a guitar trope, it was the exact mold Fefe had built. For Fefe, that style was called unmarketable. For the Disney stars, it was called a bold evolution. This creates a painful question. Was it about the music, or was it about who was delivering it? Fefe Dobson was the pioneer who took the arrows in her back so that others could walk through the door she kicked down. She was the prototype that the labels used to manufacture a new generation of superstars, leaving the original creator in the shadows. Now, fast forward to today. The setting has changed from the pop-rock era to the global explosion of African music. But the whispers of copying haven't gone away. They've just found new targets. If you've been on social media lately, you've seen the heated debates between the fans of Tyla and Ayra Starr. Both are young, incredibly talented, and taking the world by storm. But beneath the surface, there's a growing tension about branding, aesthetics, and who truly owns a certain vibe. Ayra Starr, the Sabi girl from Nigeria, burst onto the scene with a very specific look. It's Gen Z, it's high-fashion streetwear, it's mini-skirts and confidence. She branded herself as a rebellious, cool girl icon of Afropop. Then comes Tyla, the South African sensation whose song, Water, became a literal tidal wave. Almost immediately, people started pointing fingers. They looked at Tyla's music videos, her outfits, and her stage presence and said, "Wait, isn't this exactly what Ayra was doing last year?" The accusations of Tyla copying Ayra Starr's aesthetic became a wildfire. But is it actually copying, or is it just the industry doing what it does best, finding a winning formula and replicating it? Tyla and Ayra are two different artists from two very different cultures. Tyla brings the Amapiano influence from South Africa, while Ayra is rooted in the Afrobeats of Lagos. Yet, to a Western audience that often struggles to see the nuances of African music, they are being pushed into the same lane. The conflict isn't just between the two women, it's a conflict of perception. When Tyla's Water blew up on a scale that Ayra hadn't reached yet in the US, Ayra's fans felt protective. They felt like the original was being overlooked for the newer version, the same way Fefe Dobson's fans felt 20 years ago. This brings us to a hard truth about the entertainment business. Labels are risk-averse. They don't want to invent, they want to optimize. When they see an artist like Fefe Dobson or Ayra Starr create a moment or a vibe, they study it. They see what works. And sometimes, if they feel the original artist is too niche or too difficult to control, they look for a new face to carry that same vibe to a wider audience. It's a cycle of the blueprint versus the building. The person who draws the plans rarely gets to live in the penthouse. We see this pattern repeat every decade. One artist innovates, struggles, and fights for their vision. Then, 3 years later, a bigger machine takes that same vision, polishes it, and sells it back to us as something brand new. It happened with the rock-pop girls of the 2000s, and we are watching the chess pieces move in the world of global pop right now. But there is a difference today. In 2003, we didn't have the internet to scream, Fefe did it first. We just watched the charts. Today, fans are louder. They have receipts. They have side-by-side comparisons. The robbery isn't as quiet as it used to be. So, was Fefe Dobson robbed? When you see her unreleased songs being given to other artists, and her signature style becoming the uniform for every it girl of the 2010s, it's hard to say no. And when we look at the rise of Tyla and Ayra Starr, we have to ask ourselves, are we supporting the artists, or are we just consuming a brand that the labels have perfected? The music industry loves a type, but it often has a short memory for the person who actually created that type. Fefe Dobson is finally getting her flowers now, years later, as a cult icon and a legend for Black alternative girls everywhere. But she shouldn't have had to wait 20 years for people to realize she was the one who started the fire. As we move into this new era of music, let's try to look closer. Let's look past the viral dance moves and the flashy outfits to see who is actually shifting the culture. Because if we don't remember the pioneers, we'll just keep watching the same story play out over and over again, with different faces, but the same stolen shoes. The industry might be able to copy a look, and they might even be able to copy a sound, but they can never copy the soul of the person who did it first. Fefe Dobson knew that. Ayra Starr knows that. And as the world catches on, maybe the blueprints will finally get to keep their houses.